Listen up. There's something that's been hanging heavy in the air, something you can feel deep down, something that can't be ignored. And I'm here to tell you straight up, it's been weighing on the hearts and minds of those around you. They are missing you deeply. Now, don't you dare think for a second that they've forgotten about you. Oh, no. You might not see it. You might not feel it all the time. But trust me, there's a void where you used to be, and it's echoing with the sound of your absence. Your presence is not just physical, it reverberates in ways that are often unseen but deeply felt. When you step into a room, your energy, your essence, your personality fill the space in a way that's unmistakable. There's an invisible force that emanates from you, an influence that transforms everything around you. It's not about the tasks you perform or the words you speak. It's about the intangible qualities that others can't quite explain but know with certainty when they experience them. It's the quiet power of confidence, the infectious enthusiasm that lifts the spirits of those nearby, the undeniable drive that pushes people to the limits, and the strength that inspires them to push through their own struggles. When you are present, people around you can feel the change in the air. It's like an invisible current running through the room, lifting everyone it touches. But when you're not there, something is missing. The room feels emptier, the energy's slower, and even the tasks that once seemed easy now feel daunting. The absence of your presence creates a vacuum, a place where something that was once thriving now struggles to fill the void. It's not just about your actions or the specific things you did, but about the unique way you made others feel. It's this energy that's irreplaceable, and when it's gone, people begin to realize how deeply they depended on it. They miss it more than they can put into words, and they may not even know exactly what it is, but they can't deny the difference it made in their lives. This is the power of presence. It's not about physicality, it's about the energy you bring with you, the impact that ripples through the lives of those around you, the moments you shared with them, the quiet support you gave, the motivation you unknowingly provided. These are the things that stay with people long after you're gone. When you leave, they feel the space you occupied. They may not realize it immediately, but as time goes on, the absence of your energy becomes more evident, and they start to long for the way things were when you were there. But the power of your presence is not limited to just the immediate environment. It has a much larger, far-reaching impact. It stretches beyond your direct interactions, subtly influencing the way people think, the way they feel, and the way they act. It's a lingering effect that doesn't just vanish when you leave a room. It's something that stays with people long after they've walked away from you, something that influences their choices, their mindset, and their actions. Your presence sparks something in them, a kind of awakening, a reminder of what's possible, a reflection of what they themselves could become if they embrace that same energy. Without even trying, you inspire them. You push them to think bigger, to strive for more, and to take risks they wouldn't have taken otherwise. Your presence encourages them to step outside their comfort zones, to go after what they want with a fierceness they didn't know they had. It's the belief you instilled in them, the confidence you gave them without ever saying a word, that has the power to transform their lives. Your presence was a beacon, a lighthouse guiding them through uncertainty, a reminder that they too can overcome the obstacles in their path and reach for something greater. And when you're gone, that beacon is no longer there. It's not just that the world feels quieter without you, but that the people around you begin to feel unsure of themselves. They may start questioning their abilities, second-guessing their decisions, and feeling less motivated to push forward. They miss the clarity you provided, the way you made things seem easier, the way you encouraged them to keep going even when it felt impossible. Your absence creates a void that makes them feel uncertain, unsure, and directionless. This is the impact of your presence. It's not just about what you do in the moment. It's about the long-lasting effects you leave behind, the subtle shift in mindset, the ripple effect of inspiration and motivation that continues to drive people long after you've left. The power of your presence doesn't end when you walk out of a room. It lives on in the people whose lives you touched, whose minds you shifted, whose hearts you ignited. It's the legacy of your energy, your spirit, and your unwavering belief in what's possible that continues to influence those around you. Now, let's talk about impact. Your actions and your influence extend far beyond the things you do in the moment. The things you say, the choices you make, and the way you live your life have a profound effect on the people around you. Whether you realize it or not, your impact is far-reaching, shaping the lives of others in ways that are sometimes beyond comprehension. It's not always about what you achieve in front of an audience or the accolades you receive. It's about how you affect those you interact with on a personal level, how you make them feel, and how you inspire them to be better. It's easy to underestimate the power of small, everyday actions. You might not always see the immediate results, but trust that every interaction, every conversation, every moment spent with others leaves an impression. Even the smallest gestures can have a lasting effect. A kind word, a listening ear, a piece of advice. You may think these things are insignificant, but they're often the very things that change someone's life. It's the way you make them feel valued, the way you help them see their own worth, the way you encourage them to keep going when they feel like giving up. These small moments, these quiet interactions often have the greatest impact. And this impact doesn't just disappear when you walk away. It lingers in the hearts and minds of those who have been touched by your actions. The encouragement you gave them to pursue their dreams, the belief you instilled in them that they could accomplish anything, the way you pushed them to overcome their doubts. All of these things leave a lasting imprint. Your actions have a ripple effect, creating a wave of change that spreads far beyond what you can see. Even when you're not there, the lessons you've taught, the strength you've shared, and the wisdom you've imparted continue to shape their lives. You may never know the full extent of the impact you've had, but that doesn't make it any less real. The change you've inspired in others doesn't fade. It grows, it strengthens, and it blossoms into something greater. It's like planting a seed that grows into a mighty tree with branches stretching far and wide, reaching people you may never meet. Your influence is felt by people you may never even know, and it continues to shape the world in ways you can't even imagine. That's the power of impact. It's not about the recognition you receive or the praise you garner. It's about the lives you touch, the hearts you change, and the legacy you leave behind. It's about knowing that in some small way, you've made the world a better place simply by being yourself, by showing up, and by sharing your unique gifts with others. When you walk into a room, it's not just your actions that people notice, it's the way you make them feel. And when you leave, it's not just your presence that's missed, it's the impact you've had on their lives. The influence you carry with you doesn't end when you're gone. It continues to resonate in the hearts of those you've touched. That's the kind of legacy that truly matters, the kind that lives on long after the moments have passed and the faces have faded. So never underestimate the power of your presence or the impact of your actions. Even the smallest moments of kindness, encouragement, and belief can change someone's life in ways you can't even imagine. The difference you make is far greater than you'll ever know. And the people who are lucky enough to experience it will carry that with them forever. And when they look back, they'll remember the way you made them feel, the way you helped them believe in themselves, and the way you inspired them to be more. Your presence and your impact are what truly make a difference. And in the end, it's these things that they will miss the most. When someone you care about is no longer around, the impact of their absence can be profound. It's not just about the missing presence, it's the feeling that accompanies it. The silence that settles in when someone leaves, whether temporarily or permanently, can feel heavy and disorienting. This silence isn't just a lack of sound, it's a palpable emptiness, a void where once there was energy, life, and connection. When you've been close to someone, their presence in your life becomes like a rhythm you've come to rely on. It's like the pulse of a beat in music, where every moment of shared laughter, conversation, or even quiet companionship is part of a greater harmony. But when that rhythm is suddenly interrupted, the whole composition feels off. It's as if the very air around you changes. The natural cadence of daily life stutters and stumbles without them, and you're left trying to figure out how to keep going in a world that's lost its steady beat. This silence is often most keenly felt when someone has been an anchor in your life. Their presence was a kind of grounding force, pulling you back to center when things got chaotic or uncertain. Without them, everything feels a little less stable, a little more precarious. It's not just about the absence of their voice or their face, it's the absence of the emotional security they provided. The emotional void left behind can feel even bigger than the physical space where they once stood. But this silence isn't just a passive absence. It's also the absence of what they brought to your life. Their encouragement, their insight, their support. All of those things once filled your days and nights. And now in their absence, it feels as though the world around you is holding its breath, waiting for them to return. But they're not coming back, at least not in the same way. Their silence is permanent, and that can be a hard pill to swallow. It's easy to become overwhelmed by the void, to focus on the emptiness and the loss, and to feel as though something irreplaceable has been taken from you. And yet, while the silence of someone's absence can feel like an insurmountable weight, there's also something transformative in it. The absence creates space, and that space can be filled. The question is, what will you fill it with? Will you allow that silence to turn into a deeper sense of longing, regret, and sorrow, or will you take that absence and turn it into something that drives you forward? The truth is, the silence left behind by someone who mattered deeply is not just an absence, it's a space of potential, a space where something new can emerge. The question becomes whether you will let the emptiness consume you or whether you will rise to the challenge of filling that space with purpose and motivation. When someone leaves a profound impact on your life, it's impossible to forget them completely. Their influence lingers long after they've gone. But the question is whether you let their absence turn into an obstacle or whether you turn it into fuel. The key lies in how you choose to respond to that missing presence. Turning the missing into motivation is not about forgetting the person who has left. It's about channeling the emotion that comes from their absence into something positive, something that drives you forward. It's about taking that void, that longing, and using it as a force to propel you toward your goals, your aspirations, your dreams. It's about remembering the lessons they taught you, the strength they gave you, and the inspiration they provided, and then using those things as a foundation to build something even greater. When you miss someone, it's often because they inspired you in ways you didn't fully recognize at the time. Maybe they were the ones who taught you to keep going when things got tough, who reminded you of your worth when you doubted yourself, who showed you that you were capable of more than you ever thought possible. And in their absence, you might feel like a piece of yourself is missing. But here's the thing. That piece isn't truly gone. It's still inside you. The lessons they imparted, the confidence they instilled in you, the strength they helped you cultivate, all of these things are still with you. They're part of who you are, and they're ready to be called upon when you need them most. So instead of sinking into the sadness of their absence, turn that sadness into something productive. Use the missing as motivation to go after your dreams with renewed vigor. Whether they were someone who believed in you, supported you, or challenged you to be better, honor their memory by living in a way that reflects their impact. Make them proud. Live the life they would have wanted for you. And in doing so, you'll not only keep their memory alive, but you'll also create something greater than what existed before. The absence that once felt overwhelming becomes the spark that ignites your passion, the fuel that drives you towards something bigger. You start to realize that the silence left behind is not just a void, it's a place where your potential can bloom. The beauty of turning missing into motivation is that it doesn't require you to forget the person or the bond you shared. In fact, it enhances their memory. The impact they had on you continues to shape who you are and what you do. Instead of focusing on the loss, you focus on the gain, the lessons they taught you, the example they set, the ways in which they helped you become the person you are today. And as you move forward, their influence continues to guide you, not as a ghost from the past, but as a source of power in the present. This transformation isn't always easy. There will be moments when the weight of their absence is overwhelming, when the silence feels too loud to bear. But even in those moments, you can choose to embrace the discomfort and use it as a catalyst for growth. You can choose to acknowledge the pain without letting it define you, to feel the longing without allowing it to paralyze you. In those moments of vulnerability, there is strength waiting to be discovered. By turning missing into motivation, you're honoring the person's memory in the most meaningful way possible. You're showing that their presence mattered, that their influence wasn't fleeting, and that their absence won't be in vain. Instead of allowing the loss to define you, you choose to let it shape you into someone stronger, more determined, and more capable of achieving your dreams. Sometimes the missing person is someone who pushed you, who made you believe in yourself even when you had doubts. Perhaps they were a mentor, a friend, or even a family member who saw something in you that you couldn't see in yourself. Their belief in you was a constant reminder that you were capable of more. And when they're gone, that belief doesn't disappear. It stays with you, fueling your drive and determination. Their absence may feel like a heavy weight at first, but in time, you realize that their belief in you is still alive within you, and it's this belief that will continue to push you forward. In the absence of those who inspire us, we are given the opportunity to step into their shoes, to live in a way that reflects the best of what they believed in. We have the chance to take the lessons they taught us and use them to create something extraordinary. And in doing so, we honor them, not through grief, but through action. We show them that their time in our lives mattered and that their legacy continues to shape us in ways that could never have imagined. The absence of someone can be painful, yes, but it can also be a powerful motivator. It can remind you of the strength you carry within, of the lessons learned, and of the potential still to be realized. So instead of letting that missing turn into sadness or despair, take that energy and transform it into something that moves you forward. Use it to fuel your journey, to drive you to the next level, and to make the world a better place in their honor. The silence may be deafening, but it's in that silence that you can hear the call to greatness. When we look back on the people who have shaped our lives, it's often not the big gestures or grand acts that stand out, but the subtle, almost imperceptible ways they influenced us. The legacy they leave isn't always visible in the form of tangible achievements or public recognition. Instead, it's felt in the quiet moments, the unspoken lessons, the values they instilled in us that continue to guide our choices long after they've moved on. A legacy is the imprint someone leaves on the world, and often it's more about the way they made us feel than what they accomplished. A legacy is a reflection of who someone was, how they lived their life, and how they influenced those around them. It's about the impact they had on others and the ways in which they shaped the world through their actions, words, and presence. A true legacy isn't just about leaving something behind. It's about creating something that continues to grow and evolve, something that lives on in the hearts and minds of those they touch. Think about the people in your life whose influence you still feel, even though they may no longer be present. These people didn't just teach you how to do things, they taught you how to live. They showed you what it means to stand tall in the face of adversity, to remain grounded in the face of uncertainty, and to move through the world with integrity, purpose, and passion. Their actions, their example, have become the foundation upon which you've built your own life. You carry their wisdom, their strength, and their spirit with you every day. That's the true power of legacy. It's not just something that's remembered. It's something that continues to shape your life and the lives of those around you. Legacy is not just about what someone leaves behind in terms of material possessions or accomplishments. It's about the influence they've had on the hearts of others. It's the way they made people feel important, heard, and valued. It's the way they helped others discover their own strengths, talents, and potential. The legacy they leave isn't confined to one person or one moment. It's something that reverberates through time, touching multiple lives and creating ripples that continue long after they're gone. The influence of a powerful legacy is like a seed that grows into something much bigger than itself. It starts small, perhaps in a single act of kindness, a moment of encouragement, or a word of wisdom shared in passing. Over time, these small actions accumulate, building a foundation that strengthens with each passing day. The person who leaves behind a strong legacy doesn't need to be celebrated for their achievements, because their influence is felt quietly and deeply by those who were touched by their presence. That influence continues to shape the choices of others, to guide them toward their own greatness, and to inspire them to live in a way that honors the lessons passed down. In a world that often values fame, success, and outward recognition, it's easy to overlook the quiet power of legacy. But the truth is, it's the unseen legacies, the ones that are felt rather than seen, that often have the most lasting impact. These are the legacies that continue to change lives and shape the future in ways that can never be fully measured. And when we remember those who left these legacies behind, we don't just honor their memory. We carry forward the lessons they imparted, the values they taught us, and the vision they shared with us. A legacy is not about the past, it's about the future. It's about creating something that continues to resonate long after the person who created it has moved on. A true legacy doesn't fade with time, it grows stronger. It doesn't diminish with distance, it spreads further. And it doesn't die with the person who created it. It lives on in the people they influenced, the lives they touched, and the ways in which their presence continues to shape the world. The expectation of your return is rooted in this very idea. When you have created a legacy that is powerful enough to shape the lives of others, there's an inherent expectation that you will one day return to continue what you started. This return doesn't necessarily mean a literal return. It doesn't mean that you have to come back in the same form or in the same way. It's about the return of your influence, the return of your energy, and the return of your. When people feel the weight of your absence, it's not just because they miss you. It's because they miss the power of your presence, the energy you brought with you, and the sense of direction you gave them. They miss the way you inspired them, the way you made them feel capable of achieving more than they ever thought possible. And so they begin to expect that one day you'll return, not in body, but in spirit. They begin to look for signs of your influence in everything they do, hoping to catch a glimpse of that spark that once lit up their world. This expectation doesn't mean that they're waiting around for something miraculous to happen. Instead, it's the quiet belief that the lessons you taught them, the strength you shared with them, and the inspiration you gave them will one day bring them back to the path you once walked together. They don't expect you to come back in the same way, but they do expect the impact you had on their lives to come full circle. They know that your influence continues to live on in them, and that one day they will be ready to carry forward the work you started. When someone leaves behind a powerful legacy, there's an unspoken promise that they will one day return to continue their work. This return isn't always immediate. It's not something that can be rushed or forced, but the expectation is there. An understanding that the lessons, the inspiration, and the vision you shared will continue to influence the world in ways that The return of your legacy isn't about the physical act of coming back. It's about the continued impact you have on the people whose lives you touch. It's about how your energy, your ideas, your beliefs continue to shape the way they live, the choices they make, and the paths they follow. Even after you're gone, your presence continues to resonate, and the expectation of your return is the belief that the impact you had will continue to unfold over time. And when that return happens, it's not about anything you've done for yourself, it's about what you've done for others. It's about the way you've inspired others to be better, to do better, and to create a future that reflects the lessons you imparted. The return of your legacy is a promise that the world will continue to be influenced by the power of your example, the strength of your vision, and the depth of your belief in what's possible. As time passes, the expectation of your return becomes less about the individual and more about the values, ideas, and energy they left behind. It becomes a shared responsibility among those you've influenced to carry forward the work you began, to honor the legacy you've created, and to ensure that the lessons you taught continue to reverberate throughout the world. This return is not about the physical reappearance of a person. It's about the continuation of their impact through those who were fortunate enough to cross their path. When you create a legacy, you don't just leave something behind, you create something that continues to live, evolve, and inspire long after you're gone. And the expectation of your return is the understanding that the work you started will never truly be finished. It will always be in progress, always growing and always influencing those who come after you. The return isn't just about a single moment. It's about the ongoing impact of the lessons you've shared, the strength you've imparted, and the inspiration you've given. It's the belief that even in your absence, you continue to shape the world through the lives of those you've touched. The return is inevitable, not in a literal sense, but in the ways your influence continues to unfold and in the ways people continue to look to your example for guidance. In the end, the expectation of your return, recognition that a powerful legacy never truly ends. It simply transforms and continues to shape the world through those who carry it forward.